Hello everyone, August the 5th today, waxing half moon in Scorpio. We get to that, powerful stuff in the center of the fixed signs. And then we have one CAUAC today. The blue resonant storm, the first day of this next 13-day period. Storm is all about the interaction. It is the image of the lightning striking the earth, bringing in divine energy from above, and shaking the earth alive. That's literally what a thunderstorm does. So this is the first day of 13. We are getting into August the 17th. That is the day when Jupiter heliocentric position will enter 0 Aries. I mentioned that before. Powerful day to keep in mind. Things are building up steadily. It's a super dynamic times. It is really the two armies are now interacting in a very literal way. It's no more just hogwash and energies which are shot from left to right. And this is also in a personal way. We are starting to truly experience the challenges right in our face in a way, which it does. I don't want to intimidate anyone. It is just what it is. We have been prepared for that. We know exactly how to handle anything. That's the beauty of it. So let's get into the astrology here. So tomorrow we have the Mars-Saturn square. This is kind of the culmination of tension. Mars here in Taurus 22-24 and Saturn in Aquarius. So this is the waxing square. This is the first of 4 stations. Mars has the faster run here, is on its way to make a full circle, which is roughly 2 years. So we are in the first station, which is resembling the energy of a waxing half moon, and it so happens that yes, there is this waxing half moon today. Just let's go back here for one chart or two. See, there's lots going on. Let's just go to the waxing half moon to start. That was today, and tomorrow, as I say, then we have the Mars-Saturn square. Let's get to that once more. So you immediately see this is an outstanding chart. We have the moon here, right center stage, 0 meridian over Earth's 0 meridian, which separates right and left, east and west, whatever. And Pallas here at the 4th house cusp. This is the sword is now out, the scales are out. Now let's call for action with the moon opposing it here. Very powerful stuff with this last section of Aquarius here highlighted. And this is actually where the United States moon is, whatever that will be. There is something, the American people are playing a big role here in what is coming. It seems an activation as their moon is here and the global moon is up here, so there must be a resonance. So I would expect that is a corner. We will see some quite mind-blowing events taking place, which will bring clarity and power, because Pallas is really our planet, if you want, the planet of the alliance, if you want. It's in a very big way seen since Tiamat was destroyed according to different accounts, 200,000, 500,000 years ago, when that big galactic war was between these two civilizations. Corey Good speaks about it, and other insiders too. That created all the asteroids. All the asteroids are remnants of these two big planets, and Mars was a moon of that. Well, it's actually, yes, Mars kind of has survived as a planet. Mars was a moon of Tiamat. So there's a redemption happening here. The asteroid goddesses, they're all basically feminine in their quality, which is about service. It is bridging that gap between the inner planets, Mercury, Venus, the Sun, the Moon, Mars, and then we have a gap, and then we have Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and so on. In between the two, that's the asteroid belt. That's the link which gives us roles to link our personal individual energy into the social and collective framework. It's kind of, the asteroids in that sense are our job assignments in a way. So Pallas has been powerfully placed in many charts we looked at the last months. So this is an outstanding chart of that Mars-Saturn square. Mars-Saturn, the square is really the kind of the epitome of the prime example of a square, because it's like at an intersection two cars are driving, both are going and they are crashing into each other. That's kind of how it feels at first. Then we have to become creative, how we handle these energies in a more conscious way. Mars coming out of this conjunction here of Uranus and the North Node, supercharged in hexagram 23. Collapse. I don't want to really paint the devil onto the wall, but things are getting intense, I tell you. Now, on top of all that, we have Deucalion. Okay, Deucalion. Now it gets really interesting. This is Deucalion. Deucalion is a Cubewano, they call it. It's named after that first object in that area of space, which was called I guess QB1. That was it, QB1. So a letter Q, a letter B, and a letter 1. That was the very first. So that gave that whole class of planets their names. And I just realized here myself something yesterday when I was doing research. So, see, this is Deucalion. Between Neptune and Pluto, not resonant to either of the two, having its own rhythm. And this is a whole group. Chaos is another one of that group. Just I was curious myself. Here you see they have very similar orbits. Chaos 309 years, and Deucalion, I guess 295 years or something. Non-resonant to Neptune. Now this is interesting. It means that the force of Deucalion can kind of contain Neptune. And that makes total sense in that name giving, as Deucalion is the Greek counterpart to Noah in the Bible. He was given by Zeus the task to build an ark, and then Neptune was flooding the earth, and the story goes only Deucalion and his wife Pyrrha survived. The story is there a little different, but the bottom line of the two stories is it's about containing Neptune. Now, Neptune is representing all kinds of phantoms, ideas, dreams, visions. It's iridescent, but it's and one can easily get hooked on one of these images. It's the master of images, you could call Neptune. Now Deucalion comes and gets a hold on that, so there's this double meaning. Yes, on one side it is about preparing for something which is of unseen proportions. It's just that intuition which Deucalion also represents. So anyway, it is super interesting that Deucalion has bottomed out, in that sense, has gone retrograde for the last 4 or 5 months, and it's just in that moment, that's the second when it starts, when it's totally still and then starts moving forward again. And look what we see here, the moon in a perfect opposition to Uranus, the node, and Mars, and therefore in that T-square too, and there is Deucalion, and then there is the sun, and as I said, it is still a few days away before the sun truly is activating that T-square. It is after the 10th, 11th, 12th round full moon, so things are building quite intensely. Now I want to go a totally different route and read you something, a different perspective on reality, on what is going on right now. I was, first of all, I shared that as from Aluna Joy Yachin, or however she pronounces her name, Yakin probably. She is a wise woman. She has written about the Mayan calendar a lot. That's where I first started learning about the Mayan calendar. So I got to get that post, and yeah, I want to just say here, you see it's the same spiral I'm using in the Celestial Rhythms logo. I kind of like that, and the counter movement of the circle. So yeah, I want to read you this. So we are coming to a time where the overlap between what was and what will be is at its most saturated and most concentrated point. Dimensions and timelines are overlapping one over the other, creating an energy bridge for us to cross. This is what we experience when moving from one age to the next. We cannot make rational sense of it at this point. There is no truth in this flux reality. The only truth is within you. But even this is like reading the letters in a book that is floating on an endless ocean. Beautifully said. We can see the world fracturing apart before our eyes, and yet we are floating, think Deucalion, in this strange bubble of being comfortable with the uncertainty. It feels weird, like we are in suspended state. It feels like we are a bit out of body. It feels like we are watching a movie, yet we are merged with everything and all life. Yet this time is becoming less confusing. We have become detached from the chaos. This is when we know we have reached a non-dualistic state where we have entered a profound state of witnessing. Beautifully said. Each of us will follow a frequency of our own choosing. There is no judgment on the choices or directions we take. Each will follow with a frequency that is the core truth of each soul. It is a great migration of souls that cannot be stopped. To fight this passage is to also fight your own soul. Wow. and there will be those who try. There is no controlling or organizing this time. The linear will become spherical, and dimensions will become unending fractals. We are being bathed and cocooned in Creator's divine light. We can only become lost in the frequencies to find ourselves reborn. Aluna Joy. Yes, I found this was really precious. I wanted to share that with all of you guys. Now, this is really the times we are in right now. Let's look a little bit at the bigger picture here once more, scrolling back quickly. On the 30th of July, the lunar nodes changed hexagrams. I did a big one on that, the last recording. Go back to it. It's super important that polarity from hexagram 2 in Taurus and 1 up here. Actually, it is really from 1 to 2, from the powerful masculine force as our resources in mid-Scorpio, that ability to create, to truly bring in new visions, dimensions, frequencies, and give them roots. That's what it basically means. That is what is happening over the next few months till late November. Started with a Aquarius rising, with a beautiful 7th house sun here in the 6th house still with Ceres. It couldn't be much more beautiful also with Venus here, the house of Virgo, and with a Virgo moon. It's all about creating something beautiful, being in service, that Virgo energy of care and nurture, having all the resources at hand. That's what Virgo is good at. It's kind of Virgo, often I see a library, a huge library, but not just of words. It is of qualities, of talents, of potential. So Virgo, the sign of harvest, very beautiful. This is kind of the bottom of what's happening in these next few months. The lunar nodes are the super most important part in any chart. It is where the eclipses happen. And I said, I shared that too, the last one. Please go back to it. It's, if you look at the Sabian symbol, that is the degree, the 19th degree of Taurus, of a new continent rising. That's as big as this is, and these symbols are super powerful. Anyway, let me just roll here through the charts to show you the build up in momentum, in potential. So just a day after that, we had the lunar north node Uranus conjunction, and that was most exact. When the lunar node was truly injected with that Uranian fire, electricity, which is radical in any way, in every way. It's Uranus electromagnetic field. Its magnetic field is totally off its rotational axis, I guess by 70 degrees or something. So this in itself shows Uranus is a weirdo and able to think out of the box. That's a super important part. And in Taurus, now here in the second part of Taurus, this is when ideas have really grown roots. We are now in that time when these potentials are truly born, given form. As I said many times, between 2018 and 2025, this Uranus transit through Taurus is extremely rich in new. It's not just the ideas become real, tangible, touchable. We can start harnessing these energies in a literal way. So this is just on the heels of that change in the nodes. So this, and again, is Aquarian rising, and I showed you this is the same axis we have so many times in other charts. When the Earth was farthest away from the Sun on July 4th, we had that exact same axis the other way around. So there is a kind of a linking in definitely into this big energy of what that whole 6 months period means. But it's also a balancing principle, as the axis is exactly turned around, which is kind of catching the momentum and now absorbing it and responding. It's the moment of response kind of has come, it seems. Yes, then on August the 2nd, Hygeia heliocentrically entered Sag, very, very important planet of our present times, Hygeia. It's all about health, well-being, and that potential to be at the right place at the right time, that serendipity moment in Sagittarius. And that moment when that happened, seen from the Sun, you see we have Ceres towering here together with Ceres. Ceres is Mother Earth, nourishing force, caring for us as a planet in that sense. Also one of these feminine remnants of Tiamat, Maldek. The energy of a mother's love for her child. That's really at the very base, unconditional love. Ceres is. Ceres is the one which amplifies, which brings sharpness and clarity and insight. And this in itself is, and then Aries here at the 7th house cusp. Aries, the one, also a feminine force. We have lots of feminine planetary energies right now, really strongly placed. Aries, again, the one who's not shying away from conflict, in search of greater truth and greater harmony, actually pushing for the conflict in a way, throwing in the difficult questions, and yeah, that's how it goes. So this is Hygeia will be in Sag most likely for the next 2-3 months. These asteroids take anywhere in the range between 4 and 8 years, the most of them. So that means per sign roughly 3 to 5 months. Yes, then we have the waxing half moon as of today with Pluto or at the 4th house cusp, and the Haumea square. Haumea, that rugby ball, it's the shape of a rugby ball, spins extremely fast every 4 hours around itself, is about 2/3 the size of Pluto. Linked to birth, giving birth, and fire, named after a Hawaiian goddess actually who created the whole archipelago out of the ocean. It is really that extremely powerful, hot, fiery energy of creation. And there is some intensity in it, naturally. And also it's about reform and change. And so we had just this year, we had the first 2 exact squares between Haumea and Pluto. And they will form squares all the way into 2028. Here we go. Another one of these multi-year aspects which have such power to slowly, step by step, little by little, push reality in a new direction, kind of nudge it in the right moment, at the right angle. That's what all these planetary energies are anyway. That's how they work. They're creating a frequency field which we have to adjust to. You could say we have to attune to it, and then if we are in tune with the field, then we are doing the right thing, then we are in harmony, and then everything is easy. It's kind of, that's why an astrological reading can help so much to fall in line, to see what is kind of at the certain moment in time the right thing to do. Is it to push hard, or is it to sit back and just wait and use the time in another way, in a more introvert way? Anyway, these are just some thoughts on that. Beautiful towering Venus here over this chart of the waxing half moon. Venus coming out of this difficult passage, contact with the black moon, which was exact a week ago or so, which we all really felt on many personal levels. It is, so many things are coming to surface and have to be looked at personally, collectively, and again it starts always with us, and we are, when we are embracing the challenge in that sense, we are creating a role model which then ripples out into the collective. In that sense, there is some purification, if I use that word, which Jacqueline Hobbs, Oracle Girl, always uses. We are purifying, we are healing. It is by bringing everything out of the closet into the open air. That is really the only real work there is to be done, to bring it out into the open. That is the only important work, really. The rest happens naturally. It's as simple as that. So if we are ready to look at things, then they are starting to shift. It's a natural law, you could call it. Anyway, so this is a beautiful chart too, with Pluto here at the base. And then when we keep going and into what's coming, so yet then the sun changed hexagrams just short after short after the waxing half moon. 13:15 is the cutoff line here, and this is really now truly resonating with the center of the Grand Cross, all for Sun, Earth, and in that sense, yes, both the nodes, south node, north node, the Grand Cross in the center of the fixed signs, is kind of where the energy is the most anchored, in a way, the most immovable. And when these points are triggered, naturally there's, first of all, it needs a lot of force to get them moving, but once they get into motion, once they start reacting to the impact, really what it causes, then it can get really something everybody feels. So it is kind of really intense times. Hard to imagine what is in the cards, but I just saw another really interesting post which I wanted to share with you as I'm on it. So this is my friend Rockets, who wrote here a beautiful post too about the first quarter moon. You can read it on Celestial Rhythms. She's posted it there. Now I found it really interesting. Just then came Jong-un has offered to send 100,000 volunteers to Putin for war on Ukraine, and this source is Russian state TV, so it's probably real. Interesting, I found in that context of that intense energy we're on. Hexagram 7 is the army, actually, in the classical I Ching. It is the ability to use very earthy and powerful structured energy, in a way marching your way through and doing the right thing. It is trusting your instincts, and it can have an enormous impact on reality. The Earth on the other side is in Hexagram 13. This is community with people, that is sitting at the campfire and sharing stories. So this is kind of the balancing principle. On one side, we are strong and fierce through the day, and at night we sit around the campfire and share our adventures. And then during the day we go for it. And you see the moon here closing in on that opposition. And then, as I showed you, this is a few hours. This is actually the heliocentric. I found that worth sharing too. That is the same moment again when the sun is at 13:15 Leo, and you see there is Mercury at midheaven, Aries at the fourth house cusp, Venus here in pole position. Yes, we are no more shy to speak out our mind. That is definitely the message here, and our mind is very clear, and we are very versatile in expressing ourselves a lot. This is extremely good with words. And yes, Venus here. This is heliocentric. You see now Venus here is in Gemini, here at the descendant. Super nice. Mind and heart, they're both in charge now. And yes, we are shaking the thing through. And everybody in their own way. But it is a collective event. We're all partaking. So yes, here you see this is 4:38 p.m. when the sun entered Hexagram 7, and 7 hours later, Deucalion stations, as I already showed you, this powerful T-Square now with the moon involved. Yeah, it seems about time to take on the necessary measures. That's what Deucalion seems to indicate here. Also, I went back to the Sabian symbols, and this is 2259, you see, so it's still the 23rd degree, and it says a rapid metamorphosis into a nature spirit. Wow. That's a big upgrade. The rabbit is traditionally a symbol of an overabundance of progeny, thus of a great stress on procreative and sexual processes. So very at the lower end of the spectrum of physical energies, in the first, second chakra, if you want. Now, nature spirits, on the other hand, represents the higher aspects of life energies up here, as they are said to guide those normally invisible forces controlling the growth of all living organisms, particularly in the vegetable kingdom. Thus the symbol refers to the transmutation of the generative power into a more ethereal and subtle form of potency. Wow. I guess it really means we are graduating here. Many people are graduating in the next few months. That's kind of was my sense to start with earlier this summer. It seems we are, and I'm now talking to all you guys in particular who are on this channel, because if you are here then you have that in common, it can't be otherwise. We are the first wave, if you want, the ones which will initiate new Earth, you could say. We are the ones who know, and many more than just us in this little group, but it is that frequency, and over the next years I'm sure many will join and listen to all these beautiful stories of how the planets interact with reality. So this is a great powerful moment of getting a grip on the Neptunian energies, cornering them now. I thought it was super interesting to also look at the discovery chart of this planet, and I brought it up right here. This dates back to April 18, 1999, and its original designation was HU11. And upon discovery it was here at 24 in Libra, in this big stellium here with Hylanome and Pholus and Earth opposing the Sun, and Pallas and Aries. So there's already in this discovery chart there is this idea of it's a radical energy of healing on one side with Hylanome, Pholus of taking the jump, daring it, having the wisdom, and bring all that down to Earth. And Black Moon opposition. Yes, it is in the moment of greatest danger and greatest fear and greatest kind of that moment of either you do the right thing now or you missed it altogether, kind of right at the cliff. It's a cliffhanger if you want. With Mercury in the first degree of Aries, nothing really can go wrong. It's that trust in divine inspiration which comes in here very beautifully, all this Aries energy. And then Mercury, Jupiter and Pallas in a perfect symmetry. See, Pallas at 29:10 here, Mercury at 0:17, and Mars right at 15 and between. Beautiful resonance of intelligence, recognizing patterns, original ideas. And you see, Jupiter's in the same sign as it was when Deucalion was discovered. Also interesting that the degree Deucalion is stationing here at 2259. It has actually already come back over this position of its discovery moon and black moon in the last few months, and now we'll have its direct third passage over these two. And yeah, it's beautifully timed, the whole thing, how this planet is activated, strongly activated. Also the nodal axis here you see is exactly, pretty dead exactly, T-squaring the present opposition of the nodes, 19 degrees Scorpio to Taurus. Yes, it seems Deucalion is a great contender of knowing of what's happening, of the deeper story. I will link that article which I found on Deucalion, which is, yeah, I'm still thinking about quite a bit of it. I wouldn't naturally agree with many of the ideas in there, but it's definitely food for thought, and some really great insights there, that for sure. The main one that Deucalion and the other Cubewanos, QB1 also, it's a funny word, how they're not in resonance with Neptune and Uranus and the inner planets in that sense, but also not in resonance with Pluto and the other Plutinos and then the Kuiper belt objects. So it's kind of a niche of finding one's own rhythm, one's own opinion, one's own tune within that complexity of collective energies, Neptune and Pluto and whatnot. So let me go on here a little bit further. So then tomorrow, Saturday, Chariklo Varuna opposition. Okay, another beautiful energy combination. Chariklo, Chiron's wife, here in Aquarius, 6 degrees and 9 minutes, and Varuna 6 degrees 9 minutes in Leo. Varuna is the highest standards of righteousness, truth, everything in divine order, so to say, and also standing up for those values, very important, with Ceres here naturally adding in its force, and Chariklo, the midwife, the compassion to make that happen, to bring this to a birth, a realization. And again, it's an energy which has to do with birthing, Chariklo naturally in Aquarius for these 7 years between 2021 and 28. So another Aquarian. And in this chart, Juno in Pisces, yeah, it's about standing together, helping each other. That's the simple truth. I mean, at this point, money really doesn't matter anymore. The world of money will be left behind eventually. Right now, in these coming months, it's most important to support each other, to help each other, and there's many of us who are not that well prepared. That's another message of Deucalion. You see ahead, you prepare, and then you invite the others to take part in your arc and get them through this. That's definitely one of the meanings of what's coming, on whatever level that will manifest. Again, the moon here, you see it is pretty much head on one event after the other. You see this was 11:45 p.m. on Friday Greenwich time, and this is 2:30 in the morning, so barely 3 hours later. And again, I want to say that when there's so many events, celestial events, close together, it's like many poles are put into the ground at the same time, and naturally if you do that, then you get a very, very powerful anchor point, a real big milestone, not just a stick in the ground to mark this is the boundary. You have a China wall almost, if that makes any sense. And then, you see the day after we get into the Mars-Saturn square, which we touched on already before, and then a few days later, the Sun enters Hexagram 49 revolution. That is, and on the other hand, Moon then will be in Hexagram 4. No, I'm saying it wrong. The Moon is in the revolution in the Aquarian part, that is between 1852 and 30 seconds and 24 degrees and 30 minutes. You can look at all that exact numbers. I have it on my website, thecosmoswithin.org. It's a resource page at this point. I haven't updated it in years. So this is the hexagram revolution, and the Sun on the other side is then in hexagram 4. So this is wrong here. Sorry, you have to cross out the 9. Hexagram 4. That is youthful ignorance. Youthful ignorance is on the other side of revolution. Interesting combination again of energies. Youthful ignorance is kind of the freedom to be a fool, to make all your experiences fall flat on your face, and find how hard it is if you don't answer something in the right way. All these experiences are in for, but way more than that is also the courage and the freedom to step into all these little difficult situations, and not being afraid of getting a little bit, having to learn first, in a very simple sense said. So it is kind of an openness to experience something new, and on the other side the Aquarian energy of revolution, where Saturn is in at present. And on that note, yes, Saturn and Uranus, their square is just on its last leg. Saturn actually on its retrogradation stations in the 19th degree of Aquarius, and that's where Uranus is stationing on its farthest move into new territory, coming up in a few weeks. I guess on the 24th Uranus will station at 19 degrees or so. So again, just these two stations falling in an exact square, even though there's no real exact square anymore. At the same time of how the planets move, we have left those 3 squares behind. In 2021 they were, but again, as I say, we're really kind of harnessing now these energies and bring them to a whole new level. So yeah, again, this is the time when it gets super interesting. So make sure you're in a place where you are not depending on anything from the outer world, I would say, just to be able to be even tied down, having to stay home for a few days. It's that type of intensity which I'm seeing coming. Again, with Mercury here, powerfully placed. Yeah, we will hear lots of coins falling down and clicking, and those eureka moments when you realize something you hadn't seen coming, or were just not even thinking it was possible. That kind of the energy is increasingly happening. Again, I want to say it is an enormously interesting place in history. We are at 50% mark of people awake will be crossed in this month of August. We are gaining traction, as I said in the title of my last video. Yes, this is then the full moon chart, and naturally with the black moon here at the ascendant. Yes, it's just starting. The show is just starting. Yes, and this is the helio chart of that full moon. Again, I want to show you the mercurial little detail, Mercury heliocentric opposing Uranus. I mean, you can't make these things up. Everything falls together like a puzzle, every piece in its right place. Astrology is amazing. It can bring that really into the open, make it visual. And again, on the last note, Jupiter here on the 12th at 29:30 in Pisces, entering heliocentric Aries on the 17th, and here we have now again the number 17. So many things to look forward to, and also the readiness is here, I guess, to take hard hits if necessary, and anything which happens has already happened. You're just here to truly experience it and pull it through in the right direction. That's why we are here manifest in 3D, which actually is 5D, as you probably now know if you watched that Matrix Moon manipulations, which is really answering many questions. Anyway, I want to leave it at this for now, and thanks again for joining and listening and staying the whole way through, which I guess it's a bit of a challenge, but you can do it in stages if you like. Anyway, love you all. Bye bye.